Hey everyone, I'm bored again, so I'm gonna do this again. Might do something a bit different. This might catch on. Don't know what I'm gonna call this series. Oh look, that Lexus SC430 is still there. I was talking to a friend about this car today. He said apparently it's one of the worst Grand Tourers. Was that what he said? Can't remember. Doesn't look terrible, but anyways, yeah. So I'm gonna do some vlogging because that's what people seem to do these days. I'm a few years late, but better late than never. Yeah, I don't know what to call this series. Well, first things first, I'm a Formula 1 fan and I'm a tennis fan. So those are the two things I'll probably be talking about more than anything else. So we're in the summer break. Formula 1 is dormant during August, as it usually is. Sorry if I pause a lot because it's the first time I'm doing this. I'm not very professional, obviously, but 2019 season, when we were coming into this season, people expected it to be amazing. Because last year had the potential to be amazing, but then Vettel kept making errors. Hamilton was a better driver. He was pretty much flawless through that season. Didn't make a single error, as far as I can remember. He was brilliant. Deserved that championship. So I will come on to Lewis Hamilton a bit later. But yeah, last year's mid-season break saw a lot of changes. You know, drivers shuffling about, moving to various teams, being kicked out of teams, etc. Pretty much, I'd say, the craziest mid-season break we've had since 2009, when Michael Schumacher announced he was going to return to Formula 1 and drive Mercedes. But yeah, last year's mid-season was crazy. So many driver changes. So yeah, we were expecting a brilliant season this year. You know, Charles Leclerc, the youngest Ferrari driver ever, if I'm not mistaken. Only 21 years old, he's a young kid. And yeah, we thought, you know, Ferrari have made a step forward towards Mercedes. Mercedes have been the dominant team since 2014. 2015 was dominant, 2016 was dominant as well. 2017 is when they started to lose their dominance a bit, but they were still the best team that year. And then last year, I reckon the cars were about equal. Well, I'm an armchair expert, so I only know what I see on the TV, and that's about it. And what people say on social media. But the cars looked fairly even in performance. It's just that Hamilton drove really well and Vettel made many errors. There was an article on the Daily Mail. Don't really know. I mean, Daily Mail's a crap source, to be fair, but this one article they made is literally the first and only article I've ever read that was actually good and actually accurate. And they estimated that he lost about 125 points just from his own errors. Imagine if he actually scored those 125 points, he'd win the championship. So Vettel threw it away last year, and Hamilton did what he had to do. So when people say Mercedes was a dominant car last year, I don't buy that. I'm not a Hamilton fan, by the way. I'm not anymore, but I still have a lot of respect for him. And I do think he gets too much hate, but I'm not a fan per se. But yeah, he was the best driver last year. But coming on to 2019 again. So yeah, with all those driver changes, we were expecting a great season, but pre-season testing, Ferrari looked to be the best car. Everyone was saying it. Ferrari's the fastest. Australia happens, Mercedes won too. All the tifosi, the Ferrari fans, well, of course they were sad. Of course they were going to be sad. They thought they were going to win, and they didn't. They lost. Valtteri Bottas won the first race of the season. And people were like, oh, Bottas 2.0. He's going to destroy Hamilton. He's going to be the best. Like, he grew a beard. He grew a beard over the winter to make him look like some impressive, intimidating guy with his macho, masculine beard. People are like, oh, this is a new guy. He's going to do very well. And actually in the first 4 races, I think he won 2 of them. He was actually leading the championship. But then, that's the thing with Bottas, like, he's a great driver when he's on it, but he's inconsistent. He has these periods where he just underwhelms. Like, nothing much to say, really. It's just a bit disappointing, I guess. Because, Lewis Hamilton's been dominating since 2014, and people want to see somebody new. I want to see somebody new. I'm bored of Hamilton winning every single race, but I can't blame Hamilton because he's just doing what he has to do. Can't blame him for winning. That's a bit like, I don't know. Oh, I can't think of an analogy right now. Yeah, blaming the guys doing the best job is a bit stupid. You gotta blame the people who aren't doing the good job. Those are the people you have to blame. Yeah, first 4 races we were thinking, oh yeah, Bottas, he could actually challenge him this year. He won 2 of the first 4 races, and then it just kind of faded off again. Reminds me of 2017, where the first half was good start, and then fades off halfway through the season, which wasn't great. So Bottas is not in the championship anymore. So Hamilton's got 250 points going into the mid-season break after Hungary, and Bottas has got 188. So, he's second, so he's doing the bare minimum, I guess, what's expected of him. He's doing it. But people are saying, should they replace him with another driver? Should they keep him? What should they do? Now, this is difficult because, I like Bottas. I think he's a decent guy. But at the end of the day, it's not about whether you're a nice person or not. It's about, are you the best driver? And I think Bottas isn't as good as Nico Rosberg was. I think Nico Rosberg had more of a winning mentality. And I think he deserved this championship. He actually beat Hamilton over a season in 2016, which is a very impressive thing to do. He did have better luck, but who cares? Luck plays a part, not just in F1, not just in sport, but just in life. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. That's just the way it goes. But yeah, Bottas has been solid. But, all the fans, they want to see, like a McLaren 2007 situation with the rookie Hamilton coming into this prestigious team like McLaren alongside the reigning 2-time champion Alonso, and everyone expected Alonso to win and to be amazing. But Hamilton, he was a rookie, but he was on the same level and nobody expected that. And as a result of that, there was absolute chaos in that team and everything just went into meltdown. You could say the McLaren-Mercedes partnership died because of what happened that year, because those 2 drivers were so determined to one-up each other. Alonso had a win at all cost mentality at one race when he decided to block Hamilton in qualifying, and that really stirred the pot. But yeah, Mercedes don't want that because they know what it's like. They partly owned McLaren that season. And the reason why they don't want to sign Alonso is because of what he did that year. They don't want him. He was apparently a very toxic influence to that team. in the Spygate scandal, when McLaren had Ferrari documents, obtained them illegally. Alonso told Max Mosley about this, and of course, McLaren and Mercedes, they're not going to be happy about that. So yeah. Mercedes don't want that to happen again. So they're just going to play it safe with a number one, number two driver policy, which worked very well for Ferrari in the early 2000s when they had Schumacher as the number one driver and rumours about Barrichello as the obedient number two. It works. It's boring. Fans don't like to see it, but it works. Ultimately the teams don't care about, entertainment and, oh yeah, we're just going to ruin our team. Put this driver in, to put, two number one drivers in the same team and, disrupt our atmosphere and make it a toxic atmosphere, very difficult to manage. Of course the team's not going to want that. They're going to want the best possible solution for their team. And the best possible solution is to have a number one and a number two. That's number two driver, a number one driver. That's just how it is. That's how it's been for Ferrari. It works for Ferrari. They won all the championships that year. Not that year, in the early 2000s, they won every single championship in that period because they had the number one and the number two driver, and they had the dominant car. Let's not forget. But if they had two number one drivers, if Schumacher and Alonso, for example, were in Ferrari in the early 2000s together, it'd be chaos. Even though they'd win the titles, the team atmosphere would just not be good. And that might affect the engineers and the staff who work at that team. Might disrupt their mood, might make them perform not at their best. Things have an impact. Things like that have an impact. So Mercedes will probably play it safe. The question is, which driver are they going to choose? Because if you look at it from a fanboy, nonsensical way, you're just going to say, oh yeah, they put someone in the car who can beat Hamilton. Hamilton is one of the best drivers of all time. You're going to need a super, super, super driver to beat him. And by doing that, two drivers going at it is just going to cause carnage, as I said many times. I keep repeating myself, but it has to be said. So yeah, you can't look at it from a nonsensical, stupid point of view. You've got to look at it from a logical, sensible point of view. And that the sensible point of view is, it's got to be a solid number two driver. So Bottas is the obvious guy. Then you got someone like Ocon. Ocon's being mentioned a lot. And I feel like that's mostly because he was hard done by last year. He had a contract, apparently, with Renault, and Toto Wolff said it was going to happen, and it didn't, because at the last minute Renault decided, we're going to get Daniel Ricciardo because he's won races and he's been on the podium. Ocon hasn't had that. Fair enough. I think they made the right decision for themselves, but ultimately Ocon lost his seat. And as I've said before, Formula One is not about being nice. It's a business. At the end of the day, it's a business. You got to do what's best for yourself, not what's best for the fans or what's best for a particular driver. It's about what's the best for your organisation. So yeah, Ocon lost his Renault seat last year. It was almost done deal, but then Ricciardo's shock move to Renault, I don't think anyone expected that. When I read that last year, I was like, what? I had no words, but see, that's what I meant. Last year's mid-season was the craziest mid-season since 2010 or 2009. I keep saying 2010. 2009. 2009 for the 2010 season, as it was last year's mid-season transfers for the 2019 season, which is this year. So what's my opinion on this? Who do I think is gonna be at Mercedes next year? I don't know. I really don't know. difficult discussion. You know, I wouldn't want to be Toto Wolff making that choice. It's a hard one. I mean, Bottas hasn't done much wrong. He's done the bare minimum of what's expected from him, and I guess if you're doing the bare minimum, you're reaching the target. You're not going above it, but you're on the target. But I don't think Mercedes likes the fact that he's only 8 points ahead of Max Verstappen, who's driving a Red Bull, which is inferior to the Mercedes. I think Toto's going to look at that, and he's going to think, we've got the best car, better than every other car, so why is our second driver only 7 points ahead of Verstappen? And I'll come on to Max Verstappen later on. But yeah, Toto's going to wonder, you know, why is that? You know, both our drivers should be, you know, way ahead of everyone else. I know Toto likes to say in the media, oh, your Red Bull's faster than us, you know, Ferrari's faster. He's playing bluff. He's playing tricks to annoy people. And it works, I imagine. I mean, the fans get annoyed. They write salty messages on social media, you know, Twitter, Instagram, Reddit. Oh, Toto was an asshole. Fuck him for, you know, lying and saying that they're not fastest when they're clearly fast. Do you know what? I hope Toto keeps doing that, because at the end of the day, you have to do what's best for your business, not what's best for the fans. Who cares about the fans? The team isn't going to care about the fans. They care about themselves. But yeah, who do I think is going to be at Mercedes next year? Well, I really think it's going to be Ocon, because I like Bottas. I do, but being 7 points ahead of a Red Bull, it's not a good look. And I don't blame him entirely, but if you're 7 points ahead of a Red Bull, that's not going to get you far, because it's an inferior car to the car you're driving. Let's cross the road. So I do think they're going to give Ocon a chance. Toto Wolff seems to have a bit of a affection for Esteban Ocon. And I think he wants him to do well. So I think he's going to give him that Mercedes seat. This is just my armchair opinion. I know nothing about what goes on inside Toto Wolff's brain. That's just how I feel about this. That's what I think is going to happen. So yeah, on to Max Verstappen then. Driver of the season for me. He's been fantastic. I remember after being involved in 6 crashes in the first 6 races of last year, people were like, this Verstappen guy, he's terrible. He's fast, but he's just going to be another Montoya. Fast but accident prone. People are criticising him left, right and centre. I was criticising him left, right and centre. But something clicked in his head. From Monaco onwards, something clicked in his head. That crash in FP3 last year, which meant that his teammate won the race and he finished 9th. And I must have angered him. Something clicked in his head there. It's probably like, you know what, I need to change my driving style. Because last year he kept saying, there's nothing wrong with my driving style. Nothing at all. People just blame me because I'm the youngest. I'm the young, you know, I remember when he said in a press conference last year, it's always easy to blame the younger driver. He was playing the age victim card. But that was a stupid thing to do. He probably realised it. And he changed. He's much more mature, both on and off the track. He's not dive bombing at the first opportunity and causing crashes. He's been absolutely fantastic. And this season he's been better than Lewis Hamilton. There, I said it. People have been like, oh, he has. He's won 2 races. His teammate, who I'll also get on to later on, has won 0. He's been brilliant. He's only 7 points behind the Mercedes. I mean, that's just his form since Monaco last year. I don't think he's made a single mistake. He is the real deal now. He is the full package. He was a rough diamond for the first 3 years of his career, and that's to be expected. Let's not forget, he is the youngest driver to drive in Formula 1. He's the youngest driver to win a race, youngest driver to score points. He's got many of the youngest driver records. He won an F1 race at the age of 18. 18! Like, he was a kid. I know 18 is legally an adult, but nah, he's a kid. Incredible what the guy's done. But yeah, he's got every chance to break all the records that currently stand in Formula 1. Speaking of records, Lewis Hamilton is just 10 wins behind Michael Schumacher. He's about 11 podiums behind Michael Schumacher. And he's 2 championships behind Michael Schumacher, and he'll definitely be 1 championship. This season's championship, he's guaranteed he's going to win it. So, well, he's got every chance to break some records, make some history. He's already got the pole position record, smashed that 2 years ago. He took it. Just makes you think. Yeah, this guy can break some records. I'm sure the Ferrari fans, the Schumacher fans, will be mad at it, but I never thought that 91 wins would be broken. I never thought that actually maybe 155 podiums, but 91 wins. Breaking that record is a big deal, massive deal, because I don't think anyone thought that deal would be broken, that record would be broken. It was like 91 wins, no one else is close to that total, nowhere near it. That's what they said, that's what I was saying. That's what I was saying last year, or the year before that, something like that. 91 wins is unbreakable. That's one of the unbreakable records in Formula 1. How wrong was I? Because as we are in August 2019, the Belgian Grand Prix will be next weekend. He's just 10 wins behind now. 10 wins, that's it. And I think we'll be seeing a new leader at the top of Grand Prix winners next year in 2020. And the name at the top of that list will be Lewis Hamilton. He will be the leader. And even though I'm not a fan of him, can't help but feel happy about that. I was never a Schumacher fan. I hated him because he was a cheat. Big cheat. Yeah, I never liked Schumacher. What he did in Adelaide 94, RF 97, Monaco 2006 was despicable, and I hated him for it. You know, deliberately crashing into other drivers to win championships, deliberately parking it on the track to block other drivers. That's unacceptable. I didn't like him for it, which is a perfectly understandable reaction. So yeah, I do want Hamilton to break the records. I'm looking forward to next year when he does it. And who knows, he could get 100 wins, 100 pole positions. It's very possible. And whatever happens, he will always be the first driver to do that. So I hope he does that as well. So yeah, history can be made. Tell you what, there's another driver who's making history for all the wrong reasons. Pierre Gasly. Where do we begin with this guy? I'll start off by saying he has delivered the worst performance I've seen in a race-winning car since David Walker in 1972, which was over 40 years ago. That's how bad he's been. He has been dreadful. Can't remember the last time someone did as bad a job as he did. His teammates won 2 races. Has he had 5 podiums, 6 podiums, something like that? And he's 3rd in the championship, just 7 points behind second, and he's got about 181 points or something like that. Gasly is about 120 points behind. He's got 63 points. He's never had a podium, never had a win, never had a pole, never had anything. And he's only 5 points ahead of Carlos Sainz in the McLaren. And let's not forget, the Red Bull is the 2nd best car, and the McLaren is a distant 4th best. He's been demoted to Toro Rosso as a result of that. Alex Albon is the guy who's going to be driving the Red Bull for the next 9 races. And it's the right decision to demote Gasly. I was saying it since 7 races into the season or something like that, since Canada. He should be demoted. And he has been demoted, rightly so. But I think they promoted the wrong driver. Danny Kvyat deserved that seat. Kvyat was screwed by Red Bull when they demoted him in 2016 because hot prospect Max Verstappen was in and they just were looking for the smallest excuse to demote him. And so they did. They demoted him to Toro Rosso. It broke his spirit, just destroyed him mentally. And he just didn't perform and he got demoted. From the whole, just sacked, outright sacked. And then he got promoted against Toro Rosso and he's actually done very well as Kvyat this year. Done really well. Got a podium in Germany. And that was Toro Rosso's first podium in 11 years. 11. Monza 2008, when Vettel won in the Toro Rosso. That's one of the iconic wins in Formula 1. Brilliant win, by the way. Vettel was amazing that race. And you're thinking, well, surely Kvyat was the guy. I'm sure most people thought Kvyat was the guy. But he wasn't, apparently. Red Bull certainly thought he wasn't. Because he wasn't promoted, and Albon was. I really hope Albon does well. Because he's a nice guy. I really like him. Very relatable. Very humble. But he's done 12 races. 12. He is the least experienced driver to drive for Red Bull since it became a top team in 2009. That's an awful lot of pressure. I feel for the guy. You know, that yes, he's in a race-winning car. Yeah, you know, you could be happy because he didn't have to wait long to be in a race-winning car, but the pressure on this guy. He's up against the best driver of this season. And he could just go on to be one of the greatest drivers of all time. And I'm talking about Max Verstappen there. Max Verstappen's been fantastic. And Albon, poor lad, after just 12 races, has been thrown in the deep end. And I really hope it works out for him. I don't think it was the right move. I think Kvyat was the guy to promote to Red Bull and not Albon. It's too soon for him. But I hope he surprises me. Because Gasly surprised me, just in the complete opposite way. So I hope Albon gives me a positive surprise next year. Not next year. The next 9 races of this year. But yeah, Carlos Sainz, he could be guaranteed 6th place. Championship depends on how well Albon does, but he's got a good hairstyle on him. Albon's got 16 points, Sainz has got 58. Decent head start. But Sainz should never have had that chance to overtake Gasly. Gasly's just been dismal. Worst driver of the season for me. Absolutely terrible. Wouldn't be surprised if he's not in Formula 1 next year at all. Depends on how well or how badly he does in the Toro Rosso. But yeah, I wish Alex Albon all the best with these 9 races, because I'm a fan of him. He's one of my favourite drivers. He's won me over the season just with his attitude, his personality. He's very relatable, very nice guy, very humble. And I hope he does well. This tree is not very good. Looks like it could fall any moment. So yeah, talked about Hamilton making history with 2 Red Bull drivers. Talk about Charles Leclerc. Now he's in his 2nd season in Formula 1. So, well, he's not experienced at all. He's had under 30 races in this sport. Actually, no, maybe just over 30, something like that, I don't know. Around 30 races. So not much experience at all. And I gotta say, he's shown pace. Like, I think he's as fast as Vettel right now. I really do. But Vettel, with the experience, he's been in the sport for 12 years, something like that, since 2007. Leclerc's only been in the sport since last year. Massive gap in experience. So yeah, of course Vettel's going to do better. And he has. A lot of people say that he hasn't. And that, you know, Vettel's bad and spinning and crashing a lot. And he was last year, to be fair. Last year was probably Vettel's worst season. Personally, I think it was worse than 2014, to be honest with you. 2014, he was just off the pace. But he wasn't really making mistakes. He was just slow. 2018, he could have done it if he just kept his head. But I've already had that discussion. This year, Vettel, he's made 2 errors. When he spun in Bahrain after Hamilton made a brilliant move, I've got to say, around the outside. You know, he passed Vettel around the outside and Vettel spun after the move was completed. That looked a bit amateurish, although that's easy for me to say. I never driven in Formula 1. How could I? The cheek of me. But yeah, so the mistake in Bahrain and then Silverstone, just a bit of misjudgment there when he crashed into Verstappen and he tried to overtake him, Silverstone. But other than that, I don't think he's been bad this season, to be honest with you. 2 errors, but if he keeps it at 2 errors and no more, then I don't think it'll be a bad season. I think it'll be a pretty decent, solid season from him. And hopefully he doesn't make any more errors. But yeah, I think he's been better than Leclerc this season. Leclerc has shown real speed this year. Like, he's been really quick. Like Bahrain, he would have won it if it was for his car letting him down. That was not his fault, that was the car. He could have been a race winner in only his 2nd race for Ferrari. And at 21 years old, the youngest driver to win a race for Ferrari. but he's made mistakes as well. He crashed at Monaco. I think he tried to pass. I don't know who he was trying to pass. He was near the back. I think maybe about 12th or 13th place. He was out of the points at this point. And he said before the race, I'm going to go for all the moves. I don't care if I crash. I might have to risk crashing to make these moves and to progress in the race. And that's just a sign of immaturity, a sign of inexperience and youth. And he is young. You know, when you're 21, you're obviously gonna go for moves that you won't go for when you're in your 30s and experienced. And that's what he did. He went for it all out and he was in this position near the back because Ferrari, classic Ferrari, screwed him over. Where have we seen that before? And they didn't send him out during qualifying. They sent him out on one run. It wasn't a good run. That was Leclerc's fault. Ferrari should have known. He has not done a good enough lap. We need to send him out again. They didn't. And he had to start near the back. And then he got erratic and just went all out. And he made a few moves and then he crashed early on in the race. So he just retired. And he also crashed in Germany. He was on for a good result there, I reckon. He could have been the one on the podium instead of Vettel. But he crashed. And Vettel did a fantastic performance from last place to second. That was his best performance in a very long time, and he needed that for his confidence. I reckon it's done him a world of good. So I've got to say that's a nice garden there, actually. Yeah, that's done him a world of good. Yeah, Leclerc, he's made these errors, crashing in Germany, crashing in Monaco. To be fair, most people crash in Germany anyway. So, yeah, he's made some errors. What else did he crash? I feel like there's been more than that. But yeah, he has had a few crashes, but he's shown speed as well. So I don't think it's been too bad from him so far. But he's got to now start working on minimizing those mistakes. And maybe not going all out at the first opportunity, because more often than not it can go wrong. So just needs to gain some maturity, gain some experience, gain some, risk assessment, and that will come with time. It will come with time, it will come with experience. So yeah, he hasn't been bad. I think many people, mostly Vettel haters, you know what keyboard warriors are like on the internet. Oh, Leclerc's going to beat Vettel. Just like what Ricciardo did in 2014 when Vettel was beaten by Ricciardo in 2014. And I wasn't expecting it to happen. I did think it would be quite close. And I think it is actually quite close right now, actually. So I think my prediction was right so far. But some drivers are better in the second half of the season than the first. Some drivers are worse in the second half of the season than the first. I can name you some examples of drivers who are better in the second half. Hamilton is better in the second half, Vettel's better in the second half. And I can name you a driver that's worse in the second half. Bottas. So yeah. See, I don't think Leclerc's done too bad. He's done alright. Talk about McLaren maybe.